Nordhoff concentrated on making evolutionary changes that added value to the cars. He said he didn't want to be driven around by a bunch of hysterical stylists trying to sell people something they really didn't want. He made small changes as he went along. In 1949, the carburetor and dashboard were redesigned. Hydraulic brakes replaced mechanical ones. Vent windows were added, and a larger one-piece replaced the original split rear window. A synchronized transmission made the car easier to drive. A larger engine gave it more pep. Nordhoff ignored those urging him to sacrifice quality in order to build as many cars as possible. He was willing to lose sales to maintain his car's reputation. This firm's strategy seemed to work. People bought his Spartan, rugged cars. By 1953, 500,000 Volkswagens had rolled off the line. This was no longer a local phenomenon. The cars were being exported to 86 countries. One country slow to catch Beatlemania was the United States. Nordhoff was determined to break into the world's largest car market. Only a minuscule number of VWs had been sold in the US. The small British sports car, the MG, was a leading import. This fun roadster was mechanically temperamental, but it had a certain charm. The hottest foreign car at the time was the Jaguar. Sales to the US kept the British factory running on double shifts. Even then, customers had to wait 4 to 6 months for delivery. Affluent sports car fans in the US wanted to get their hands on the new German car they'd heard about, the Porsche. Using the Porsche as bait, Nordhoff made a deal with the New York importer, guaranteeing him access to the sports cars if he'd also agree to sell VWs. This started the pipeline flowing. The original dealer never pushed the cars properly, but others saw the opportunity and they started selling. Nordhoff launched a charm offensive and hit the American talk show circuit.
That funny pug nose there. It's a Volkswagen. That car is the symbol of the most phenomenal development in world economy since World War II. What are you going to put in all that space?
Well, we are going to manufacture our car in this country.
Are we in competition with you now on, for example, the Volkswagen?
As we see it, the American market leaves so much room for a small, well-proven economic car that we wouldn't hurt anybody's feel.
Humorous ad campaigns also helped to turn the VW's differences from American cars into virtues.
Ever wish you didn't have radiator problems? Ever wish you didn't have a radiator? Ever wish you could sail through mud or snow? Ever wish your car didn't guzzle so much gas? The Volkswagen has no radiator problems. In fact, no radiator. The Volkswagen engine is cooled by air. Can't freeze in winter or boil over in summer. The Volkswagen engine's in the rear. You go in mud or snow. The Volkswagen cuts most gas bills in half. Ever wish you owned a Volkswagen?
Their light-hearted approach also diluted aversion to buying cars from a recent enemy. By 1955, there were more than 20,000 Beetles on the roads of America. Owners' clubs were forming, and it was on its way to attaining cult status. It had reverse snob appeal. Intellectuals on both coasts thought the VW demonstrated their disdain for crass commercial culture. Volkswagen was a mass-market car in Europe. By 1955, 1 million Beetles had left the Wolfsburg assembly line. production averaged more than 1,000 cars a day. VW had become the largest automobile manufacturer in Europe. Nordhoff had made an exception to his one-model-only policy in 1950 when he introduced the Transporter. This versatile van gave workers a means to haul just about anything. It was even replacing the St. Bernard on the slopes. It was a hit around the world. VW vans were extremely popular with penny-pinching surfers in Southern California and with the Love Generation hippies in San Francisco. Camper versions enabled families to take the campsite with them on the road. It was a great way to take in the sights and not bust a budget. More new models were on the way. Volkswagen introduced a sporty car, the Karmann-Ghia. Some called it the poor man's Porsche. In 1961, Volkswagen introduced the 1500. This was its first new four-seat passenger car. It had a more contemporary look than the Beetle, but didn't have the charm. Other successors to the throne were trotted out. After Volkswagen purchased Audi, it could share cars between the two divisions. This was first tried in 1973 with the Audi-derived Passat. Once again, a Beetle replacement failed initially to catch on. While Volkswagen searched for a new star, others were finding new uses for the Beetle. Two Southern California subcultures, surfing and cars, converged to create the dune buggy, the most famous of which was built by Bruce Myers, the Myers Manx. The Manxes were built using glass fiber bodies, the same material these hot rodding surfers used on their surfboards and catamarans. They lifted the standard VW body off and plopped a new low-slung tub on top. The little engines provided plenty of power for these lightweight cars. Their good mileage meant there was more money left for buying beer and other essentials. Porsche's rear-engine philosophy gave the buggies more traction than a conventional auto. It helped them go off-road to discover inaccessible surfing spots in Mexico. Being part hot rodder, Myers and his other dune buggy buddies started to race. Their good-natured dares and challenges spawned a sport, off-road racing. By 1967, the Baja 1000 was an annual event attracting thousands of spectators and cars. The dune buggy begat the Baja bug, and the sport kept growing. Today, over 200 cars with drivers from nearly every state and more than 10 countries compete annually in this rugged off-road race. It's no longer confined to just Volkswagens, but there's still a large contingency of Baja bugs that show up and race every year. It's a tradition. By the end of the 1970s, Volkswagen had decided that the Golf could succeed the Beetle. On January 19th, 1978, the last Beetle built in Germany left the factory.